The state of Florida. I tweeted it out yesterday. Again, at JD Piquel, follow along there. Said, the state of Florida is going to once again be relevant to the college football landscape on a national level, something that it really hasn't been quite as much in recent years. And the reason I say this is there is a transition going on there among these four schools, Miami, Florida, UCF, Florida State, and there's also so much talent that's now starting to think about staying home. And that's the first point I want to make. It is crucial for these programs to be able to keep talent home because previously, much like California, and it's another video for another time, they have all sort of looked elsewhere. I mean, look at Alabama, look at Clemson, look at USC, look at A&M. A lot of the best players in the state are now looking outside of the state to go make an impact. And they do just that. They make a huge impact. There's so many impact players from the defensive line to the skill position, guys that say, I want to go elsewhere. Ohio State, another program that's feasted off Florida talent. So if you can just rope off the state of Florida as a program, if you're any one of these programs, you're in really good shape. And that's a key puzzle piece to the future of college football, as if one of these teams can even do that and keep these guys in the Sunshine State. And again, I think they can. And so we're just kind of going to go through these four. Again, Miami, Florida, UCF, Florida State, the big four in the state of Florida, and just unpack where I think they are right now and what's kind of gone on the last 6 months or so since the regular season ended. We'll start with Miami. The first two things that jump off there is obviously they got Mario Cristobal, sold him away from Oregon, which was huge, came back home. He's a Miami guy, so he gets it. He gets what it's like when Miami's playing well. And he brought on an elite staff. I mean, we did Chalk Talks on Josh Gaddis. We did Chalk Talks about their defense and how I think they're going to be special in that 4-2-5 system. There's a lot to like about them. They had a good year last year. Tyler Van Dyke stepping in, wasn't supposed to be the guy, but with Derek King getting hurt, ended up being the guy. ACC Rookie of the Year. There's a lot to be excited about at Miami. Number 15 class in the 24/7 class rankings for 2022. They were there. All of it felt like 30 seconds. So for them to even have a class that high says something about the direction they're headed. And I love this program so much right now. They're so intriguing to me because they are building their program with the intent to own Florida, the state of Florida, to own the Florida recruiting base. Look at the guys they got on staff. Ed Reed, Jason Taylor, guys with NFL notoriety, which is, again, the goal if you're going somewhere like Miami, and guys that understand what Miami is like when they're playing well, when they are relevant to the national landscape. Guys that have been there and seen it when it's at its peak. I think that's special, and I think that's going to hold a lot of weight with recruits as it already has so far. So the word I want to use to describe the state of the U, if you will, is they're poised. They're absolutely poised. They've got a lot of things built out already to be successful tomorrow. Again, having the quarterback piece right with Tyler Van Dyke, that's huge. Having the right guys on campus from a staff perspective, that's huge. Mario Cristobal, understanding what it takes to win there, that's huge. All these things to where I don't think it'll take 3 to 4 years for them to get where they want to be. I think it's going to be a next season thing. I think it's going to be, at the most 2-year kind of thing. Like they're one, going to have the time, and two, be able to put it together really quick. So what to expect from them going forward? I would be surprised if in these next 2 years they don't have a 10-win season. Mic drop. That's it. I think they will have a 10-win season in the next 2 years. The ACC is in a funky spot. Clemson had a down year last year, and even they won 10 games a year ago. There's sort of a changing of the guard, it feels like, in the ACC. And it's not quite evident who that guard's going to be. It may not be this year. Clemson may still win the deal this year, but I think there's sort of a balance across the board within the ACC. So all that's to say, the hill is for the Kings taking at this point in time. Is Miami going to be that king? I think they're very poised to. Moving right along, Florida. Kind of a similar plot, if you will. They hired Billy Napier away from Louisiana. They're not quite as proven as a staff as maybe they are at Miami just because of what level Mario Cristobal is coming from, being in the Pac-12 and being at Oregon, whereas you're going from a group of 5 school with Billy Napier. Billy Napier's still been around some really great programs. Was at Alabama under Nick Saban. Like was a position coach there and did a lot of great things there. So I have no doubt he understands the formula. I also respect the heck out of the fact that he wanted to stay at Louisiana and wanted to do his due diligence there and feel like he finished what he wanted to accomplish there. Respect the heck out of that. It's been like a revamping ever since he showed up there. I mean, you've probably heard about it if you've kept any ear to the ground on what's going on at Florida. Nutrition staff, I mean, the food is night and day different. The housing, night and day different. Guys were complaining about that housing, comparing it to Section 8, and now they got them in these nice apartments. So the players are happy. The players are buying in, living good, eating good. Those are big variables. And then they're also recruiting. They're recruiting the heck out of the state of Florida. They're the number 16 class right behind Miami in the 2022 24/7 class rankings. I also love the way they're built schematically. They're going to, I mean, if you watched our Chalk Talks, they're going to dial it up on defense. They're going to be sneaky with how they do it. And if they get their personnel in the right spot, they're going to dial it up, heat you up, get after the quarterback. That's going to be fun to watch. And that's ultimately what it's becoming about in college football. It used to kind of be, in some conferences, not so much the SEC, but it used to be, hey, let's air it out, let's spread them out. Teams are still doing that, but to combat that on defense, you got to be fast. And to take it a step further, if you can get after the quarterback and be fast, you're going to be in really good shape. And Florida wants to do that. Florida's going to build towards that. Again, the personnel for this coming year, we'll see how they can translate. I'm not saying I have any doubts. I'm just saying it may take half a second to get it done. And then in terms of the offensive side of the ball, if Anthony Richardson can even scratch his ceiling, you're going to be in good shape in Gainesville. Like, the dude has so much natural ability, so much that gets you excited about what he can do with his legs, and he's flashed on tape with his arm. Anthony Richardson sounds like he's going to be the quarterback. I mean, we still have spring ball to finish up. We still have fall camp to get into, so Jack Miller, the Ohio State transfer, could definitely challenge and push him there, but I see no reason why you need to be overly concerned about who's playing quarterback. You have a guy who's played, and you have a guy who's really talented who, if he does end up playing, will be the right guy for the job in Jack Miller. So my money's, again, on Anthony Richardson there, but I think you have the talent on offense, and you have the right guy running the show, and you have the program trending in the right direction. So the state of Florida, or the University of Florida, the Florida Gators, if you will, to me, the word I would use is hungry. Okay, that's a O, not a U, hungry. The Florida Gators are hungry because they're not that far removed from playing for an SEC title. Like, think about it. Before, last year they were playing Alabama in Atlanta for an SEC title. And then everything kind of went to the dogs after that, no pun intended. Dan Mullen gets fired. Things go haywire. But now it feels like the ship is sort of pointing in the right direction. Billy Napier's putting the sails up. He's got recruiting blowing in those sails and getting them going the right way. I don't know if it will be as quick a fix as I anticipate it being at Miami. That's not a for sure thing. That's my feel on it. I think they have a real good chance to be competitive for the conference title in the coming years. They're another team that I'd probably throw in that dark horse conversation that Matt McBrayer asked about earlier. So we'll see what happens at Florida, but at the very end of the day, I'm sold on what's happening at Florida. I'm sold on the process that's happening at Florida, and I think they're going to be really, really dangerous. They're hungry. They want it, man. They want it down there in Gainesville. Moving right along, UCF. On the field, they're the top dog right now. They beat Florida in their bowl game a year ago. Number 52 class in 2022. I'm not going to look too closely at that. We'll get into that in a second. They're going to get more juice as this program builds and gets ready to go to the Big 12. Because right now, they're group of 5, and they're going to start recruiting with, here in the very near future, some Power 5 juice. Which, don't get it twisted, that's a big selling point. Because right now, they're walking into homes and being told, hey, I appreciate you coming, coach, but really, I want to go play Power 5 football. I want to go to Miami. I want to go to Florida. I want to go to Florida State. There's a day coming very, very soon where Gus Malzahn can walk into a top recruit's living room and say, hey, if you want to come play at the highest level of football, we're going to be in the Big 12, come play for us. There's nothing you can't do here that you could do at Florida. So I think that's going to make them extremely dangerous. On the roster, I think it's going to be intriguing to see how much noise they make nationally this next season because, again, group of 5, they lose Dylan Gabriel. They don't have quite as much coming back that would get you fired up for like a college football playoff run. And that's hard in itself to even do with a group of 5 program. It's not impossible. Cincinnati's proven it's not impossible, but I think UCF should be your favorite to win the American Athletic next season. So for me, the state of UCF is powder keg. That is a powder keg kind of program because it's not going to be 2022 that makes them, I don't think they'll go undefeated in 2022. How about that? They're not going to be the top story in 2022 out of the state of Florida. They could be. I don't think they will be, but I think in 2024, 2025, once they start getting those Power 5 recruiting juices flowing, once they get their program going, I think Gus Malzahn is going to be there for a really long time, one of the best offensive minds in football. He gets his guys in place with the caliber of recruit they're going to be able to get. You better watch out. You better watch out because they're going to be dangerous. And I really believe this program is primed for an explosion here in the next 2 to 3 years. So right now, they're still building towards it. 2024, let's talk about it. Now, finally, this leads us to Florida State. So call in 254-339-1122. Would love to hear from you. Would love to have you join the conversation. Florida State, and I'll just start with where I think they're at. Florida State, to me, is at risk. The state of the Florida State Seminoles is at risk because everybody else around them in state is kind of going like this. UCF joining the Power 5 conference, Florida getting a great head coach, Miami getting a great head coach, recruiting well. Florida State lost number 1 recruit in the country to Jackson State. Went 5-7 a year ago. Lost to Florida to get there. They beat Miami, so we'll give them this. There's so much happening around Florida State to where I worry about them getting left behind. I do, and I think it's kind of a trend right now to where Florida was kind of in disarray. Miami was obviously in disarray with the way they changed head coaches. UCF, you're not as worried about because of the group of 5 school. You don't have those built-in excuses anymore. If you're Mike Norvell, it is a show-me kind of year. And let's look at their schedule because there's not a whole lot of easy games on here if you're Florida State. I mean, for starters, let's talk about game 1. Well, they got Duquesne to game 1. All right, so I digress. But game 2, you got game 2, you got the LSU Tigers in New Orleans. That's not going to be fun. You got to go to Louisville, always a tough game. You got Boston College, who's improved over the last couple years. Wake Forest, played for the conference a season ago. Then you got at NC State. Verdict's out on them. You got to have Clemson come to town. Again, I think they're going to bounce back. I don't think they're going to go quietly. Georgia Tech, at Miami, at Syracuse, Louisiana, Florida. So, you show me the gimme game there. Outside of Duquesne, maybe Syracuse, what game are you just walking in and saying, yeah, we got that one? Yeah, that game's ours. I don't see it on here, folks. I don't. I would love for Florida State to be good. I would love for Florida State to be able to be that program that is, a blue blood that's kind of bounced back off the mat and they got themselves together and Mike Norvell's the guy. Folks, the way they lost some of these games a season ago just makes you sick. And similar to the University of Texas, that fan base at Florida State, they're not that patient. Ask Willie Taggart. They're not that patient there. So how this all goes in the future really depends on this coming year. And I think you have to make a bowl game. The number a lot of people sit on for them as well as 8 wins, that feels ambitious to me, man. That feels ambitious. So it's not so much where Florida State's at right now independently. It's where Florida State's at right now in relation to the other 3 programs in Florida that they're competing for recruits for. Because if you got UCF, Florida, Miami all on the table, I don't know why you pick Florida State. That sounds harsh. Sounds maybe a little bit mean. Maybe it's a little bit of both. But I don't see a situation where I pick Florida State over UCF if they're in the Big 12. Billy Napier's recruiting me. I'm definitely not going to Florida State. I get to go play for Miami under Coach Cristobal, who knows what it's like to be the U, not just Miami, but to be the U. It's going to be a tough go for Florida State. Number 20 class last year in 2022, I think that's as high as they go in the future. Under Mike Norvell, under current circumstances, they're going to have a really hard time getting their guys away from these other Florida schools, which, again, there is so much talent in these schools' backyard. If 2 of them, let's say it's Miami and Florida, if 2 of them can lock it down and say, we're going to keep 80% of the 5 stars in state. It's going to be a wrap nationally, folks. Like, you're going to have one of those two competing for the conference and then competing for a college football playoff spot. I wouldn't be surprised if we see both of them in the college football playoff in the next 5 years. That's how good the state of Florida is. That's how good that high school talent is there in their backyard. It's a hotbed. Golly, I love this. This gets me so fired up. We're going to take a look at the chat here. Kyle Smith, I'm reading this for the first time. I'm a lifelong Miami diehard fan, a realistic one as well, which we have many in our fan base that aren't. Fair enough. I'm very proud of the direction of the program. I haven't said that in 2 decades. And that's kind of the feel, right? That's kind of the feel that Miami fans, for the first time in a long time, have real buzz about it, have real juice about where that program's headed. That's kind of the way it's trending. I think it's the same thing for Florida fans. Not so much they haven't felt this excitement in 2 decades, but it feels like for the first time, the ship at Miami and the ship at Florida are both pointed in the right direction. And if they can get the wind going behind those sails, like I mentioned, I think Billy Napier's already done it. Mario Cristobal's obviously already done it. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with nationally.